Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show this Wednesday, the 9th of February, 2022. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you guys here. Now, Bitcoin and the Tulip Trust. What is the Tulip Trust? You guys are really into Bitcoin. You probably know what it is. It's at least a million, probably at least a million. I'd say probably at least a million Bitcoins. Maybe a lot more. Whoever put it together, they got the first Bitcoins. They got it in this Tulip Trust. It's supposedly Satoshi, the guy who invented Bitcoin, who's disappeared. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows who ever was. We got a number of these guys fighting over this Tulip Trust, trying to gain control over it, claiming that they're a Satoshi and all this kind of stuff. They've never. Well, there's a motive right there to try to get a hold of that $60 billion worth of Bitcoins. That's a enormous fortune, and that's at these low Bitcoin prices right now. But you know what I'm thinking to myself? First off, the name of it. Tulip, like as in tulips, like as in the great tulip thing that happened in the history where they were all buying the tulips. First, that name. And Bitcoin so many times has been called, like they've been compared to tulips, like the price goes way up. Whoever named that trust. Also, it's the fact that they named it a trust. You know, they knew, they had advanced knowledge of things that were going to happen. And, you know, with that advanced knowledge, I got a big question to ask. There was a long period in time there when Bitcoins were like a penny a piece, or a nickel a piece, or whatever. They were so cheap, they're like dirt. Nobody knew what they were. One guy thought he was getting a good deal by going out and buying a pizza for 7,000 of them. He thought it was a good deal because they were so cheap. Back then, for like $20, you could get thousands of them. Now, if these guys had put the Tulip Trust together, knew what it was going to become in the future, do you think they actually stopped with the million, or do you think that they've been purchasing more when they were really cheap? I mean, they might have purchased, you just don't know. They might have like 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. Don't know how many they have, but they would have had ample opportunity to buy them because they had the advanced knowledge of what they would become. Think about that for a minute. The kind of power that would go along with that if Bitcoin becomes what it's bound to become, what it wants to become, if something doesn't stop it. And you know, all these years since 2009, well, starting around 2013, I've been waiting for something to come along and stop Bitcoin. And all I've ever seen is a march upwards in advancement of price. It's moved so much closer to its final destiny than it was back when I first started watching it around 2013. Now it's moving so much closer to its final destiny. And you say, well, what is its final destiny? It wants nothing more. Bitcoin wants nothing less, nothing more than to become the asset of choice behind everything in the world. Right now, basically, I'm not going to say everything in the world, but most things are priced in dollars, or could be priced in dollars. Even if you're off in some country that's not using the dollar and they got their own currency, still, if you got dollars, you can buy whatever you want there, anywhere on earth practically. It's a world reserve currency, meaning it's used everywhere in the world. Bitcoin wants to supplant that and be the world reserve, basically the world reserve store of value. With all of these little mega coin, all these other coins, I'm not going to say, I don't know why I put that word mega in there, but all these other coins called altcoins acting as Bitcoin's little satellites that'll handle all the transaction volume for everything. And believe me, Bitcoin can handle a lot of transaction volume itself when you consider the Lightning Network and also these new protocols that they're putting in. So Bitcoin reaches its final destiny, where it's going. And who knows how high that might be if it starts to take over. Because if you live in the United States of America, you know, go out and look at your car. What's it priced in dollars? What's your house value? What's it price? What's it worth? It's all priced in dollars. What do you got in your bank account? Everything that you have, everything that you own, everything that you've worked for all your life is has a dollar denominated value behind it. Now this is something that's hard to get your head around, but there's an inevitable hyperinflation coming, not just to the dollar, but it doesn't matter what country you are. Spain, if you're in the United States, or if you're in the United Kingdom, or if you're in Japan, doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. They're all connected to the dollar, all these currencies. So all these currencies go down with the dollar in a ball of flames. There's going to be a transfer of wealth because you can't say they're worth so many dollars anymore. Now go around your neighborhood and take a look down. Just drive down the street. Next time you're on your way to the laundromat or whatever, or grocery store, drive down the street and say, what's that house worth? Oh, that's worth $200,000. The house next door to it, what's it worth? $250,000. House next door to it. And just think if that was a calculator. Just that one street alone in your one little neighborhood, how much money is being stored in all the things you see around you. And that's all priced in dollars. Trillions and trillions of dollars. Okay? Now, think to yourself, hey, what if all that wealth were suddenly transferred into an asset class where there's only 21 million that can ever exist? Okay? Now, suddenly, if you see that happen, not right now, I'm not talking about right now with Bitcoin worth of $43,000 or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about at some point in the future, after this wealth transfer has occurred, and all of the wealth, stored wealth in the world has been transferred over into cryptocurrency. What's it worth? It could drive the price of a Bitcoin up so exceedingly high that you could retire on 5% of one Bitcoin and live the rest of your life as a wealthy individual. That's how high it could go. And I know I hear these commentators out there saying, okay, Bitcoin's going to... But they're always in dollars. They're always thinking in dollar terms. Oh, Bitcoin's going to 500,000. Oh, Bitcoin's going to 200,000. Yeah, in the short term. But what about when the dollar's gone? What about when all the other fiat currencies are gone? And they're pricing the world in Bitcoin. What's it worth then? Now let's go back and think about the Tulip Trust. Did they stop at 1 million Bitcoins? When they would have had the opportunity to go out and purchase Bitcoins then at that point. And any purchased Bitcoins could be easily secured by them and nobody would know about it. Because they purchased them fair and square. Even if it was for only a nickel a piece. Okay? So... does it only stop at 1 million? It might not. It might be bigger. Now, what would that million, even just talking 1 million Bitcoins, what would that be worth if this wealth transfer takes place and all the world's value of everything transfers over into Bitcoin? Like I say, 5% of one Bitcoin might be able to make a person wealthy for life, set for life. Really set for life. Now, what would millions of Bitcoins be worth? What would be worth a percentage of the entire world? A higher percentage of the entire world than any one country has ever owned. That's what millions of Bitcoins could be worth if this wealth transfer takes place. And it's just something to think about, you know. The fact that it could make certain individuals so powerful within the world so that they are like unbelievable, like the Queen of England sort of power. Because if that all were to happen, and there was a time like 5 years ago when I was talking about this happening, and we were so much further away, it was almost laughable to talk about it back then, a wealth transfer over into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. But now we can see the whites of their eyes of the whole thing. We're getting close enough where we can see the fiat currencies and this intractable, untractable, you can't get rid of it, inflation that's they said was transitory. We see it's taken hold, it's taken seat. And now what's happened is the central banks are trying to cut liquidity from the system to stop this inflation, but it's a little bit too late. The horse is out of the barn. And of course, at a certain point, people are going to say, I'm not holding this stuff anymore because it's losing its value too quick. I got to shift into something else. So yes, a lot of them are going to think gold. An awful lot of them are going to think silver. But an awful lot of them are going to think crypto. And, that's the wealth transfer. And the government's always had the power over money, the creation of it, the control over it. They'll try to keep that power. But they never had an alternative system to go to before, except for gold and silver. And something that can fit in with the modern internet age. Being able to transfer money seamlessly across the internet. Halfway around the world in less than a second. I've used these cryptocurrencies before, so I know. You push the button, and you're on a website that might be halfway around the world, and you get a paid signal as soon as you push the button. It's almost like the speed of light. Of course, it has to wait, in Bitcoin's case, 10 minutes for confirmation. But an awful lot of these coins don't have that limitation. They confirm within seconds. Coins like Hedera Hashgraph. Amazingly fast. Amazingly complex network. Handle tens of thousands of transactions per second. Unlike Bitcoin's 7. But they're working on that. They're changing the Bitcoin. They're adding things to the protocol and stuff, and they're going to be able to make it more scalable. But it honestly, guys, it doesn't need to be scalable. There's two things that you guys need to know. As these coins go up in value and they get exceedingly high in value, all of this volatility that we've been through over the years with Bitcoin and the cryptos is going to go away. They'll become rock solid once they achieve a much higher value, right? They'll become rock solid. You'll see moves to the downside of 10% in a day. That'll be gone over. You're still actually at an early adopter phase in all this. But still, getting back to this Tulip trust. What could happen there? This is where my conspiratorial mind starts to think, hey, something's going on with that. Big time. Because so many Bitcoins involved. I'll tell you, I'm suspicious of these other things that went on, like the Mt. Gox situation. I think it was like 500,000 Bitcoins or something? That little pudgy guy, he got away with. Some strange goings on in the early days of Bitcoin, Well, you guys have forgot about the Mt. Gox situation that happened. Anyway, I'm rambling. So anyway, guys, what I'm trying to say is I told you guys about this buying opportunity that was coming, and it's come. I'm not sure if it's gone. I mean, we did see a price down really cheap there about a week or two ago, and that was part of the buying opportunity. I think you're going to get another little crack, another little kick at the can, but I'm not sure. But this buying opportunity is not going to last forever. It's going to go away. We're in it. We're still in it, the buying opportunity. The way I look at it, anything less than $100,000 Bitcoin, you're in a buying opportunity. I'll tell you, you guys saying, oh, Bitcoin's highest price was 68,000. We got a failing fiat monetary system. And we got a new type of money out here that's instantly transferable across the internet? Are you joking me? There's no limitations to how high it can go. Anybody who owns none, they don't own any cryptocurrencies, right now, in this period that we're in right here, where this transition and all this stuff's happening in the monetary system, they're a fool if they don't own any. I'm going to tell you guys, you need to own at least a little bit to get your finger in the pie. You don't have to own a lot, because if this stuff goes to where I think it might be going to, $100 investment on this side might be the biggest, most best thing you've ever done. That's if you don't lose your keys and you don't misplace your password or something like that. Ultimately, on the other side of this hyperinflation that's coming, well, that might save you. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.